Hey everybody, welcome back to Turn Bark Time. I'm the Turn.
I'm the Bark.
We're gonna be here a long time. It's been a while since we've been around. Barker and I have both been super busy, but this is still season 3, episode 14. And let me tell you a story, guys. So, I brought props. Today, I was telling Barker, think about it, about these magical fruits, right? Bananas. And my fiance, my lovely fiance, India Wolfendale, was telling me about a book she read called The Fish That Ate the Whale. And it described the history and like life and times of America's #1 like banana seller. And so we got to talking about bananas, and we've been playing this banana episode. Barker dressed as a banana one year when I dressed as Tarzan. So today we're just talking bananas because we're BANANAS. This episode is bananas. All right, I'm done.
The topic is bananas.
BANANAS.
And I think we have to stop at that, or else we're going to get copyright slapped by YouTube. So we hope you find this episode appealing. So
We'll try
bananas. Bananas. We take bananas for granted.
No, they're not rocks.
Wow. What I find humorous, Mr. Turner, where did bananas come from originally?
Where do bananas come from originally? That is going to be, I'm going to say, I'm so wrong. The Middle East.
Close, but the irony is India.
Heyo. That's why I failed.
India or like Malaysia, somewhere in like either South or Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Which is interesting. One of the things we were just talking about, the AP exams, which are over. Yay, we survived.
Hey, congrats to Barker's AP class. Nice job, guys.
But Columbian Exchange and how like there's all kinds of plants, animals, and peoples that are places they shouldn't be.
Yep.
Like hippos in Colombia.
Favorite episode. Anyway.
If I was a biology teacher, I was just talking with another department mate today about what a random unit that would be. I'd be like, camels in Australia, hippos in Colombia. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of great examples. Anyways, bananas. We think of them, a lot of bananas for us. I tend to think about like banana republics, like in Latin America.
I think of the clothing store at the mall.
So one of the things I did not realize, a banana is an herb. It's not a tree. It's a large flowering herb or herb if you're British.
That just we could stop the episode right there and everyone would be like, wow.
Well, the other thing is that bananas, like if you open up a banana, there's not seeds in the banana, which technically, since it's a flower, a banana is not a fruit, it's a berry.
Yes, I did know that. They are technically berries.
Which, this is why biology teachers get like shouted down, because we have this like dichotomy of food, which is largely based on taste, which I think we've covered in other episodes about fruits and vegetables somehow.
Yes, somewhere. If not, we will.
Somewhere. Or else it was just in the Turn Bark conversations that happen off air.
Yeah. But that's for another time.
And looking at it, like there's no seeds inside of a modern banana.
Nope.
Which is a Cavendish banana, by the way.
Cavendish. Also called a dessert banana.
Oh yes. Dessert, not desert.
Yeah.
2 S's. You want more of it.
Named
after some dude from Britain?
An Englishman. William Spencer Cavendish. He was the 6th Duke of the Devonshire. Sorry. I love these I love it that people like this is their name. It's like this long thing.
Yeah, some dude I have Musa Cavendishi, but
oh, that's later. He's
okay.
Yeah. The Cavendish banana is I mean, this is a great thing. Conflicting sources. I love it. Continue on. Cavendish banana.
Anyways, so bananas are not grown from seeds, but instead you like cut part of the plant off and grow another offspring of that plant, which from a biological sense means you've just made a clone of the other plant, which means that we're technically eating fruit of the same plant, just a lot of the same plant, which kind of hurts your brain when you really think about it.
You mean a berry from the same plant over and over again?
Yes, I do mean that. And so I guess one of the great concerns with bananas is that it's a monoculture, which if you know your roots, mono means one, and I guess culture means growing one crop, right? And the problem with Henley having like essentially a clone of one plant is that if you find a blight or some sort of disease that kills said plant, 50 billion tons of bananas no longer exist.
Terrifying.
It is. And it's happened before. Because before Cavendish's, we had.
Nope. Lost it.
Gros Michels.
Ooh.
Which in French means big mics. Anyways, the French with a sense of levity there.
Yep. Okay.
Which is ironic because it's like they're not French or English to begin with. No. And the word banana, they think comes from the Arabic word banan for finger. Yeah. So like, my question is, if it came from like India,
okay,
like what's their word? What's the original word for it? Because they weren't like, we eat this thing, but we have no word for it until like the Arabs show up and are like, oh, that's a banana.
But did you have what? I guess the question would be like, what dialect or what languages are spoken in that region? Like, obviously, there's a native tongue and stuff like that. But is it something that's even translatable? Like, obviously, you could point to it and say this is this, but is it something where that word has sense? That language is no longer existent, and that's why you can't trace it back any further. I mean, I would think the Arabs would write something down, but like, could be.
I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, man. I'm just saying.
Hey,
but apparently, so Gros Michels, what was it? They die out in, what is it, the 50s? Yeah, 1950s. Mm-hmm. There's Panama disease.
Okay.
Which comes from Panama.
Really?
Panama.
Or is this a situation where it's like the Spanish flu?
It could be. So anyway, there's this disease that affects the Gros Michels, and it infects the ground, it affects the roots, it can be transferred on boots, on shovels, like it just gets everywhere, and essentially it chokes out the Gros Michels. And it made me think of our dear friend Barb Holmes and Dawn, who have cherry trees that they have since sacrificed to the old gods and the new with fire. Because they got little cherry virus. And it reminds me, it's kind of a similar deal where there's not really an answer. Once you get it, you got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's not really any way to make it. Like, we had an entirely different banana that was the major banana. They had a thicker skin, which made it easier to transport. They bruised less easy. They tasted better, which is why everything that's banana flavored doesn't really taste like. That's why artificial banana flavoring doesn't taste like real bananas, because they were made based on the flavor palette of the Gros Michel, not on the Cavendish.
Yep, I did hear. I remember that.
So like it's just interesting. Like it makes me like kind of concerned for our orchardist friends in Central Washington and other places in the world. That like, is there something we can do before that happens?
Well, so interesting thing, right? So when I was doing this research, it kind of all took me back, and this is not a plug for a show that I just enjoy watching it. because I've rewatched it like probably about 10 times. Zac Efron has a show on Netflix called Down to Earth, where he travels and learns about like sustainable culture or sustainable cultures, what we're doing for water, economic crisis, or food crises, natural disasters, stuff like that. And one of the things he does, like Lima, Peru, he travels all around there, and they talk about how there are storage sheds with like over 500 different types of potatoes, like old world potatoes, new world potatoes, like that are like seeds and like kept in a like a I want to say a cryovac, but that doesn't sound right. Like they're kept at cold temperature to make sure they last. But in the event of a famine or something, an ecological disaster, we could handle it. So it's like, do we have that for the banana tree?
The problem is they're working on it.
Mhm.
But I think what they're saying now is that the Gros Michel was killed off by Panama disease, and they call it like TR1, like strain 1. Now there's strain 4 that's threatening the Cavendish.
Okay.
And so they're trying through GMOs, right, to make a TR4 resistant Cavendish.
Okay. GMO, by the way, is genetically modified
organism or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
So like they're working on it, but it's like it's kind of this race against time, race against nature. Maybe we're just not meant to have bananas.
Or maybe we're supposed to evolve to a different type.
This is true.
Because who knows, right? When you have a genetically modified, organism, you could have a different tasting banana.
Yes. Ooh,
Could you imagine in your lifetime trying 2 different bananas, Barker?
It's like people who know about old Coke and like new Coke.
Yep.
Fair enough.
That's an episode before
this. Average American eats how many bananas a year?
Average American eats how many bananas a year? I will say, thinking about myself and my banana intake, I am going to go with 47.
90.
Damn. Double my banana intake. All right. I underestimated.
Maybe we're putting bananas in things we don't realize. I don't know.
I guess that, well, but you think about it, like I'm just thinking about like when I go for a banana, it's like when we buy bananas, like I usually take one. It's like a midday like snack kind of deal that I know is gonna fill me up until I get to lunch. But I also think about like there's some mornings like where I'm at hotels or something like that, and I'll grab like my cereal and stuff like that, but I'll grab banana, right? Like just to have extra. But it's you don't really, I don't know. 90 bananas. 90 bananas? Wow.
Yeah. Well, but like think about like smoothies, banana splits.
True.
Again, thinking of Barb Holmes, who likes herself a green, like
crunchy banana.
Crunchy banana.
Which can lead into a whole nother thing, though, Barker. Can plantains, which are part of that family, suffice?
The difference is the plantain is meant. I was looking at that, and plantains are meant to be like cooked.
Yep.
As a starch?
Yeah, please don't eat them raw. Please don't.
Yeah.
It's gross. It's like the easiest way to explain it to you. Have you ever had a plantain? Sorry, I guess I should ask that.
Not raw. I've maybe had a cooked one once or twice in my life.
Like eating a plantain, like if you try to bite into a plantain, you're similar consistency to like biting into a potato, like a raw potato. So unless you're Creed from The Office, probably not gonna be able to do it. So, but yeah, cooked plantains are bomb. Like you can basically make them into mashed potatoes isk. Like think of almost like a what's the word? I want to call it like a tater tot, or like like you have breakfast potatoes that are like the circular, like they cut them circular and they like crispy on the outside, but they're like mashed potatoey on the inside. Like that's kind of a plantain, but it's like sugarier. It has more sugar in it. But it's like when I was in Costa Rica, like every freaking meal had plantains, rice, beans, and plantains, right? Death taxes and rice, beans, and plantains. Those are the things in Costa Rica. So.
Well, you think about like, I don't know. We make a lot of banana bread and banana bread muffins.
Oh, God, I ate banana bread today. So good. My fiance is a great banana bread breaker. I don't know if she can hear me or not.
She'll have to watch and hear the compliment.
Exactly.
And so like the people of the banana industry,
Republics.
yeah. And as bananas came west with Spanish missionaries, it's become quite because they're a tropical plant, so they must be grown in a tropical climate, which is why nobody has Washington grown bananas.
Hey, I tried. Bought a banana tree from Fred Meyer. Although when I looked it up, it was only meant for animals.
Yeah. But it led to a lot of so there was a time period, in the the late 1800s, the early 1900s, where the United States during imperialism, there was a company called United Fruit Company, which is where the book that India was talking about is about this gentleman, where essentially the United States would American companies would go into countries and open large banana plantations and then exert political control or really just exert force at times in other countries to try and get governments to do what they want. Again, the term banana republic rising from this. And United Fruit Company, if I'm trying to remember, is it Chiquita? I think it's Chiquita today.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah. So one of the most well-known brands of bananas actually has a pretty checkered past when it comes to how did they get there? And there's kind of, what is it? Dole makes almost 20% of all the bananas, I think, in America. And then Chiquita is 17%, Del Monte is 14%. And then there was one called Fifths, which is 6%. It's an Irish company from started in 1888.
That's fun. I want to find some Fifths bananas.
You don't often think of bananas and the Irish is oh, of course. Their website's oh, we've been selling bananas forever. Sorry, that's the wrong accent, but our zero Irish fans will obviously object. But I was that's not synonymous. But apparently they're a huge importer of bananas into the EU, into Europe.
Okay, that makes
sense. So that's the market where they are big.
Gotcha.
But I just thought it was, it's kind of interesting that a lot of why you look at the relationship between why do we help Cuba become independent because we want to put banana plantations there. Why are we mad at Cuba when Fidel Castro nationalizes, among other things, the banana plantations? Because all of the American economic interests get shoved out. So, yeah. What is it? Of the world production of bananas, the top producer of bananas is India.
Okay.
Not exporter, but producer.
Yeah.
A lot of them are eaten domestically in India.
I think their population.
Ecuador, I think, is the top. What I found was the top exporter.
Okay.
What I mean? It goes Ecuador, the Philippines, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Colombia.
Yeah.
And then the top countries that import bananas, they put the EU together.
Oh, that's not fair.
So they
win.
The European Union, and I don't know if this was Brexit or pre or post Brexit.
I guess it's probably pre.
32%
of the world
of all the bananas.
Okay.
And the United States is 25%.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, when you think about the population of the United States, we apparently do eat
a crap ton of bananas.
Yes, we eat the bananas. We eat the bananas every day.
Yep.
Because things are still kind of wonky right now with supply chain and stuff, and so are we running out of bananas? And it's it's a staple. You expect to be able to go to the grocery store
and buy bananas,
even though we live in a climate that does not make bananas.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think we need to check our privilege a little bit and be understand the time period that we live in.
Yeah. It's we are afforded all these fruits and stuff like that. You go to even Aikens, right? Our small grocery store in Quincy, and even the variety of fruits that you could get and vegetables, right, that are there are not, I don't think they're publicly grown. I think they're imported.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I think about it because growing up, we grew up at a smaller church on the outskirts of town. And every Christmas back in the day, we would get a paper sack with some candy, some chocolate, some like peppermints, and then an assortment of nuts. So, like walnuts, cashews, like just like today, you would look at it, kids would be like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then an orange.
Yep. Yep. In my stockings, every single time, bottom of my stocking were oranges.
And like to a modern kid, you're like, it's an orange. And it's like, but back in the day,
That was a high price commodity.
yeah, you would have, I mean, it came from the tropics.
Yep.
It was a big deal. And now we just take it for granted. So I'm not trying to like sound the alarm bells and be like, go hoard all the bananas.
Yeah. We'll know if there's a banana shortage that people are watching our video. Or T4 won the race.
Yeah. I was looking at it. Somebody was saying, if you want to order some Gros Michels, there's a place in the US that for 3 to 5 pounds of Gros Michel bananas, it costs you $67, and that's before shipping.
Wow.
So they're no longer, they can't be grown in amounts that are economically viable to sustain a large industry. But they still exist in some small places that have not been tainted. But the problem was because of industrialization.
Yeah, you were gonna have
like
painting
networks of trains and such like that. Like once one place caught it, it just worked its way kind of like through the system. And again, there's a lot of parallels in my brain between little cherry virus, right? And then like this, because it's pretty similar. Like once somebody gets it and like somebody's got it.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's going to get to a point where it's like it's not going to be economically viable anymore because the fruit it essentially like chokes the Panama disease. I cannot speak to cherry.
Yeah, don't speak. Yeah.
Little cherry virus, but Panama virus essentially makes it so that the fruits like stop absorbing nutrients and it chokes out the berries or the fruit, which a bunch of bananas is actually called a hand, and a singular banana is called a finger, which would make sense when you think about it
from the Arabic word for.
Yeah.
No, it was rounding out that all the way back to the beginning where you're talking about how like you have to cut down the plant. Like that's one of his episodes. He's like visiting Costa Rica, and the guy talks about like he says, okay, you're gonna go cut down that bunch of bananas, and then he's going to from there he's like yeah, and then you gotta cut down the tree, like not down the tree, but you gotta hack off part of the tree. And the guy and Zac Efron's like, oh. Like it made one bunch of bananas and then you cut it down. He's like, yeah. He's like, that way it can grow again. And it's like, oh. He's like, we've been treating our banana tree like crap in the backyard. So that was pretty funny. So, but yeah, it's interesting because it's like you don't really. Again, like I'm just looking around. I'm sitting in my kitchen right now. Obviously, you guys can't see because I have my screen up and stuff like that. But I have bananas. I'm looking at lemons. Right, lemons are not something that would grow here per se or on the normal, right? And then you can look at all the other things, you're like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I ran and grabbed tomatoes today for dinner and I paid under $1 for 4 Roma tomatoes from Mexico.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's in a way like despite all of our technological and like systems of moving product, we're still, I guess some people would say, I guess biological alarmists would be like, we are on the precipice of the abyss, which is why places like you were talking about with the bananas or the potato seeds, and there's like the seed vault in like Norway or something up in the permafrost.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that a lot of our industries are becoming less diverse. We're growing less because there's like 100 varieties of bananas.
Oh yeah.
But like, I think Cavendish's make up, I think it said 47% of all bananas grown in the world. So almost half the variety of bananas are Cavendish. And so if something comes along and wrecks the Cavendish like it did the Gros Michel, right? If it becomes the next, Big Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's just a great name. French are so
think
great.
about the French, Oh, it is the Big Mac. You want a Big Mac? Yeah, I have not Big Mac, but Big Mike. But yeah, it just seems really interesting that it's kind of, we don't realize how close we are to
Oh yeah.
things like the wheels falling off the bus, I guess. Not to, alarm anybody, but just saying, like the song in the 1920s, there was a struggle back then, and they wrote the song "Yes, We Have No Bananas."
Yeah. 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 It's nuts. And it's crazy because we're so far removed from that now, like you're saying, in the sense of like growing your own thing. Like I hear more about growing because my brother is a ranch manager, runs I hope I don't screw this up, apples, apricots, apples, apricots, cherries. So I hear a lot more about growing. So I'm like, I feel a little bit more connected when it comes to this, like, because obviously he discusses prices of apples and different things like that and how it all arranged. But before he did that, I'm like, I mean, it's fruit. I walk up to the grocery store, I buy what I want, and that's it. So it's kind of a cool thing to kind of look where it all comes from.
That's our dive into bananas.
Yep.
If we leave you with anything tonight, thank an orchardist.
Hopefully it was appealing. Running it back, I had a good idea for an episode, so be on the lookout if you're interested. Barker and I are going to do a Q&A episode. So he's going to talk to his AP students. Again, congratulations, AP students. I took 2 AP tests myself. I know the battle that it can be. So good job, way to put your effort into it. And I know now you're going to be nervous until those scores come out. So, but good job. But we're gonna do a Q&A. So we're gonna throw it up on the Instagram. I think I'm gonna throw it up probably tomorrow morning before I head off to school. And if you guys have a question you want us to answer, it can be about anything. It doesn't have to be historically. It could be us. It could be an opinion question. You ask, we will do our best to deliver. Obviously, we try and keep our episodes to a shorter at length, but we never achieve it. So it's always super exciting. And again, as always, if you have a thing to talk about that you want us to talk about, let us know. We're getting up to the end of the year, and that means season 3 is starting to wind down. So get those topics in now. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait till season 4. But Bark, anything else?
Please keep your questions PG to PG-13. Keep it clean.
They will be screened, unfortunately, for you if you try to give us a question that is not that. We are going to screen them. So
yes, we reserve the right to refuse service to everyone.
Yes. And if nobody gives us a question, then we're going to make questions up and just start asking each other them, which also could be really entertaining. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'm the Turn.
I'm the Bark.
We're going to be here a long time. Have a good night, everybody.
Be safe.
And be well.